You can't sit with us. Actually, Megan, I can't sit anywhere. I have hemorrhoids.
Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror podcast. Today, we're discussing the first horror cinematic release of the year, the aforementioned M3GAN, the 2022 American science fiction horror film directed by Gerard Johnstone, written by Akela Cooper, who is quite known for a lot of horror screenplays, from a story by Cooper and James Wan, who also produced with Jason Blum. Now, this is a Blumhouse production, so I'm going to have many thoughts about this, and also the fact it was produced by James Wan, who is, I guess, notorious for the Saw franchise, Insidious, Conjuring, a few other franchises, but we'll get into that a bit later on. And M3GAN stars Allison Williams, which is also the white cracker devil bitch from Jordan Peele's Get Out. She's also in Lena Dunham's Girls TV series, which, I'll be honest, I can't stand anything to do with Lena Dunham, so that's all I'm going to say about that one. And Amie Donald, who physically portrays M3GAN, and Jenna Davis voicing the character. It follows the artificial intelligent doll, aka female Chucky ripoff, who develops self-awareness and becomes increasingly hostile towards anyone who comes between her and her human companion, aka the little girl from The Haunting of Hill House. I'm going to say straight off the bat, I liked this movie, but I didn't love it. I just felt it was, maybe I'm too old for these kinds of movies. Definitely, more for the TikTok generation, definitely more for today's teens as opposed to today's 30-year-old, gay guys and whatnot. But at the same time, there were some fun parts to this movie. Just wasn't scary, though. And that's where I'm going to leave it at till we get to our favorite parts and disliked parts. But, Coop, what are your thoughts?
I actually enjoyed it. I didn't expect to at all. Just because the marketing campaign, there was so much money put into the marketing and so much effort put into it, and it kind of seemed like one of those situations where they're throwing as much shit at the wall as they can to see if something will stick, just in case the movie bombs.
Yep.
But I thought it was I sort of kind of watched it more as like a horror comedy more than anything. It just kind of seemed very self-deprecating in that sense. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised with it, to be honest. Yeah,
I'm very surprised that you like this movie. I was even saying to BP in the car back to my place today, I was like, I have a feeling he might not like it. He might see this in a similar vein as Smile, one of our earlier episodes in season 1. And I thought, but maybe he might like the campy approach to it, because, you and I are both Drag Race fans, so I saw a lot of drag elements, especially with M3GAN, the way she dances, the way she just talks shit to people.
Yeah.
And very surprised you like this movie. But hey, stranger things have happened. BP, what are your thoughts? I know you have many.
Well, Justin, you're here with me. I watched it twice. I thought it was a pretty average attempt at a horror movie. I said to Justin,
Oh, you disappeared.
I already got hounded online because a comment Cooper had mentioned was, if Chucky was a real person, he'd be rolling in his grave at this attempt. Because I don't know. I think the marketing was really well, like Smile. Watching the premiere, I came out of it looking at my friend confused. We both looked at each other going, that was it. I don't know. I just can't really take it seriously. Even as a horror movie, I found it not really scary. A lot of the sequences weren't really showing any gore, but I think that's partly due to an M rating. But in saying that, you've got other movies like Insidious who do a really good job and can be M. So that's no sort of excuse either. So average movie at best. And watching it a second time, I was pretty bored watching it.
In terms of favorite parts of this movie, for me, it was definitely more around the campy comedy. So, you know, I love everything to do where, you know, a horror movie is actually funny, similar to, you know, the Scary Movie series. But there were some really key standout points. Obviously, when she dances, when she sings, I just thought it was so morbid, but so funny. And I liked that they went all the way with that.
Megan,
Have I done something to upset you, Gemma?
I know you think you're maximizing your objective function.
Oh, really?
Likewise, there's that one scene where after M3GAN kills the CEO and his assistant, you know, they've got the showcase on the ground level and the elevator opens. You just see them dead with all the blood and all the people are screaming. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's, you know, at least snorted through my nose, which is more than what I can say for some other attempts at horror comedy in the last like 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
But, you know, production values, thought this was color graded pretty well. I liked the acting. I liked not necessarily the screenplay, but the fact that, you know, this, when I say unique concept, I know this is ripped off from the Child's Play remake. We've had other, you know, horror TV series, movies with dolls, like, you know, Slappy from Goosebumps, Talking Tina from the 50s Twilight Zone, but I felt this was very modern. And, you know, I don't think there's necessarily been a horror movie for tweens, teens, in-betweens that, you know, has actually got that mass appeal. That's where my praise stops though, so, you know, I'll save my thoughts for the next section. But Coop, what did you like about M3GAN?
I enjoyed more the comedy aspects of it, and I liked that it lent more into that. And something that I kind of noticed about halfway through the movie is I kind of feel like there's a lot of things in this movie that they did right that the Child's Play remake didn't. These stories are very similar with the pairing of the doll with the child and all that kind of thing, and it's starting to go wrong. I almost wonder if there's any kind of connection there, because I mean, we were talking about it with the Child's Play remake, is if this was sort of an idea that was explored as its own, not as Chucky, not in that universe, then it could be potentially quite good.
Yeah.
I agree with Byron that it wasn't particularly scary or anything like that. I didn't think based on the marketing, I kind of wasn't really expecting it to be that particularly gory anyway. So I didn't actually mind that. It was the first time in a couple of years that I'd actually been in a cinema with a bunch of people and been around people reacting to. It's so weird being in a cinema with people reacting, because so many people just react to the weirdest shit. Do you guys notice that whenever you're at cinemas? It's like someone will laugh at something. It's like someone just turned their head. Like, you know, people's reactions. It's like that sketch show skit where it's like, oh, your reactions are out of place with everybody else's. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed the comedy aspects of it. It was very self-deprecating. It didn't take itself too seriously, but it was serious enough to follow a storyline without it being like, oh, this is completely stupid. You're kind of interested in what happens. Something about this that was another thing that had going for it, as opposed to the Child's Play remake, was that M3GAN actually had like a character. There was a personality there because it was a learning AI thing. It wasn't just like a doll with the safety settings turned off and just repeating phrases and shit like that. It was kind of like developing like a sassy personality along the way, and that very much added to the comedy as well. But it would be interesting to see, especially considering that I think M3GAN 2.0 has already been greenlit. Is that right?
Yeah.
How they're gonna sort of like, they've got a really good opportunity to up the ante, considering there wasn't really that many horror themes and that much gore in a movie like this. They've got kind of like they're in a comfortable position to jump off from here, I feel.
Yeah. And also to note too, so both the characters in M3GAN I don't actually know their names, even though I've got Wikipedia up in front of me, but, you know, the little girl and the other girl from Girls, so they're both returning for the sequel, so I like that it's a direct continuation. It's not going to be, you know, maybe it is a different M3GAN doll or whatnot, but I like continuity when it comes to sequels. I cannot fucking stand it when, and I know I'm probably alone in this, but, you know, you have a successful horror movie, so then they do a sequel and it's all new characters and it's all new this. The only type of structure I see that working for is Final Destination, because, you know, they kill everyone in every single movie.
How can you say that? You have a responsibility. My friends are dead.
I don't know if either of you have seen it, but Saturday Night Live, which hasn't been funny since 1993, Aubrey Plaza, my forever dream girl, she came in to do a guest host spot. She portrayed M3GAN 2.0 before M3GAN 2.0 was announced. And it was such a funny skit because it just makes fun of how much the gays love M3GAN. So it's her at a gay club being like, I'm gonna kill you, right? And the guys are like, yeah, slay. And it's like, it's just so stupid. It's so funny. Likewise, I actually would love to see Aubrey Plaza in the sequel, whether she's a doll or whether she's just like a side character or whatever. I just want Aubrey Plaza in everything, especially after White Lotus. So
she's so sarcastic and monotone anyway, like that she could play M3GAN the doll if she really wanted to. She has that kind of like monotone voice to just be, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, Aubrey Plaza, please appear on our podcast. But
Please.
Before I do forget, BP, what are your favorite parts, if any, of M3GAN?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I'd say more the dialogue, the more comedic side of it. I did actually laugh out loud in quite a few, even in the cinema. In some of the bits, all like groaned in like kind of embarrassment or cringiness, especially with like the titanium singing and the piano singing. I particularly liked, there are actually a couple cool shots in the film. The one that I really liked was the shot of it was M3GAN at the fence with the neighbor, and she's got kind of like the hairs all being frizzed up, I think, after being attacked, and there's sort of like a stare off going off between them. And there was a really good shot of that. And the other shot I really liked was when she's in the forest and she kind of comes back up on her hind legs up in the air. Yeah, that was a cool shot. Yeah, just some of the dialogue, when the neighbor's yelling Dewey, and then it's M3GAN doing the auto tune to Dewey, and it's like Dewey, and you can clearly tell. Yeah, I didn't really have a particular favorite scene. As we'll talk probably in the bad part of this sort of podcast, a lot of the trailer kind of already showed, like the trailer showed a lot of the stuff in the movie, so there wasn't a lot of stuff left over for me to sort of like otherwise. So a lot of the good stuff was in the trailer, which is a good and a bad thing. But yeah, so the dialogue itself was quite funny in some areas. Some of the action, the shooting styles were good. Yeah, that's all I can really say. And like you said, Coop, I wrote on my thing, what did I write? I did mention something about sassy in the end. Sorry, give me a sec.
I like that you have a notebook.
Yeah. No, I was writing quotes, like when she's like, it's insane, right? Yeah, but she does get a bit sassy in the end, a bit of an attitude, which is kind of cool to sort of see her like bite back to her owner. Yeah, she's controlled, so yeah.
I feel like M3GAN's like that popular girl in school that you kind of want to be friends with, but at the same time you're like, oh, she's such a bitch. Yeah. But if she gave you the time of day, you'd be like, yes, queen, I love you, be my best friend. But anyway, that's my own personal thing. One thing I was going to point out too in terms of favorite parts that I actually forgot to talk about was I haven't seen this kill in any other movie yet, where she essentially rips the ears off that little bully kid in the forest scene. I was like, I don't think I've seen that before. I've seen everything from like noses being ripped off, you know, Freddy vs. Jason, to teeth being pulled out. Yeah. But I was like, ears. I don't think I've seen that.
Does she pull the earlobe or the top of the ear?
I thought it was the top of the ear.
Top of the ear, yeah. Kind of stretch the skin, yeah.
Yeah, the cinema I was in was not ready for the bits leading up to just before that kid got his ear ripped off. Everyone was like, like just all over the cinema. They're like, nah, that's a bit gross, eh?
Yeah, it was like one of the goriest bits, probably, to be honest.
Yeah, uncomfortable. Yeah.
And I do want to shout out the actress that plays the little girl, not Megan, but the actual kid in the movie. There's that scene where she has the temper tantrum and she's like, I want Megan! I want Megan! Holy shit, I turned around to my little sister because I took my 12-year-old sister to watch Megan, and I was like, isn't that you? She's like, shut up. Because my little sister has had temper tantrums like that before, but admittedly much younger, 6 and 7 as opposed to 12. But I was like, damn, that little actress really got that right. I've seen other kids be like absolute shitheads in supermarkets before and everything, and this is why I'm glad I can't get anyone pregnant, because I would hate to have kids in my 20s/early 30s, but then when I see kids like that act up, I'm like, I wish Megan would kill you next. But
you can adopt Megan.
I could actually. I'll adopt a kid purely so that on the one chance that it misbehaves, I can have a talking doll to,
Well, you can have a buddy doll.
Ugh.
I am your buddy.
You're my daddy.
Give me a Chucky doll and I'm set. Actually,
Yeah.
no, better yet, give me a Tiffany doll.
I'll give you Annabelle.
Yeah. And Annabelle, that twerks. No, but... My big criticism with this movie is that it just isn't scary, but I do have to recognize that, all three of us have done, I think this is like episode 58 or 60 or something, whenever we play it back. I'll just insert the actual proper number over it, but, we've seen so many horror movies, we're in our late 20s, early 30s that, obviously this is not going to be as scary for us, but, to the target market, which is teenagers, tweens, people in their early 20s, it might be scary for them, but, even when there were some good scenes of suspense, I'd be waiting and then nothing would happen. But, I feel like the comedic elements save that from it. So even when, there's a good scary part with kid getting the ears ripped out or, skin torn off and whatnot, when she goes into that mode where she's just running like a dog, I was like, oh, okay, that, to me, that's actually a little bit scarier than if she was just like running like a robot. So, the screenwriters, the directors have thought of this, but at the same time, to quote Trinity in the Tuck, where are the scares? Because I just wanted something a bit more, I had to talk my little 12-year-old sister to be like, Megan's a horror movie, I know you get scared, so, anytime you want to leave the cinema, we can go. And then I was like, oh, I had nothing to worry about because it was just, a Bratz doll gone berserk. But that's my own opinion. I do have to give credit to the marketing. It's everywhere. I cannot escape this movie. Posters everywhere, billboards all around Sydney, TikToks, Instagram, like even the individual cinema chains are now posting on Facebook because they know this is such a successful movie. And at this point in time in recording, it has made $132 million worldwide against a budget of $12 million. So I don't know my maths, but I think that's like 11 times more than its budget. And
damn.
I mean, it's only January 28th, the date of recording, but it's also the third highest grossing film of 2023 worldwide. So, who would think this little bitch would like be such a success? I mean, I thought this was going to go the way of Child's Play, the remake. I thought it would make 40, 50 million at most. The TikToks would backfire, or the marketing would just be seen as like cringy. And, for me personally, yes, it is cringy, but I'm not the target market. So, yeah. But, Coop, did you have any least favorite parts or any criticisms for this movie?
Yeah, I guess it could have leaned, or at least had more elements of horror in the movie. But I guess really it was kind of more of like a comedy thriller, I suppose. So I didn't necessarily mind that. So yeah, not particularly, no. Other than that.
Nice. Now, we should probably prepare for BP's 3-hour takedown. So,
Nah.
yeah. What are your thoughts, BP?
So like I said earlier, I think the biggest issue I found with this movie is that the trailer really has a lot of the good bits in it. So when you're watching the movie, I didn't really find a lot of stuff in the movie other than what was in the trailer, like appealing or good. I mean, some trailer, like, I should be able to do a trailer and still leave the good bits in the movie, but like, you know, the dance sequence, a lot of the quotes that M3GAN says, there's nothing really else she says in the movie otherwise if you haven't seen the trailer. So I thought that was sort of kind of like, I probably shouldn't have watched the trailer to start with. So if you haven't seen the trailer, it's probably good. But if you've seen the trailer, it's kind of a bit of a bummer because you're going in, you're like, oh, this isn't the thing. And like the dance sequence that I saw online was so much better than the dance sequence in the movie. Even though it was kind of one continuous shot with a lot of the stuff, it just didn't seem effective when that whole dance gif and everything, like in the Facebook stuff we've sent, is good. And then in the actual movie, it just wasn't really coming across well. And that's when people were laughing, which annoys me in this movie. When people laugh in a horror movie, which is meant to be somewhat be taken seriously, it kind of just turns me off because you're just sort of thinking like, is this an Adam Sandler film or something now? Are we laughing? Like, I don't know. I know it's meant to be that campy horror, but I just, yeah.
Oh, you would hate going to the cinemas with me. I laugh at everything. So
No,
even
I-
like Final Destination, I'm like, he got impaled by a
No,
giant
I did laugh at a couple of things, like the Dewey thing. I was laughing out loud because I just thought it was really funny because it was so like auto-tuned. That's why.
Yeah.
And then the biggest issue is I think it's the limitation with an M rating. But like I said, if Insidious can be M and do a really good set of like movies, then there's no reason why M3GAN couldn't have done the same. But I found a lot of the action or sequence shots with the killings would show like her with that, you know, spray gun thing, and then her like spraying the person, and then the next shot's just like blood going down the drain. It just, like, a lot of the stuff was kind of skimmed over because I don't think they could show much to keep that M rating.
Yeah.
As I said to Justin when I was coming over, there was talks of an unrated version, something going around about an R-rated version, and it would be interesting to see, like, if an R-rated version came out, if they put a lot more gore in. I think like my perception of the movie would change, and actually be like a decent horror to recommend. But at this point, I just think it's a dull movie, very light on blood, some comedic effects. But yeah, I'd probably at this stage watch Child's Play 2019 than this again. And I know, and that's saying something. I know, but I watched M3GAN again the second time, and I was quite bored with it. So I don't know. I guess when people say it's a good movie, I'm like, I don't really agree with that. But anyway, but props to the marketing. I'm hoping M3GAN 2.0 is kind of like bigger, bolder, more gory. If this is like the way it's been sort of renamed, it sort of sounds a bit more promising. So maybe if it's an MA rating, a bit more gore, I think it might be able to do well. But this movie itself, it's not low replay value for me.
We like Terrifier too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen parts of Terrifier too, but I haven't sat down and watched the entire
It's
thing
long.
yet.
It's like 2 hours 20 or something.
Is it really?
Holy shit.
It's ridiculous.
I haven't even watched the first one, but
The
I've just seen
second
heaps
one's
of
like,
memes of it, and then the second one, like it seems like that is another heavy hitter. And just on that, just because it reminded me, are we going to be covering that like Blood and Honey, Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's coming out?
Oh,
we're gonna do Cocaine Bear.
I did watch the
Oh my
trailer
God.
for Winnie the Pooh one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer yet for Cocaine
Cocaine
Bear,
Bear. I
but
saw it. It was on the M3GAN.
yeah,
actually.
we can cover it.
Oh my god!
I
I haven't seen it yet, but it just looks like it'll be ridiculous.
Disney's probably shitting bricks right now. Like, no, don't use that.
Yeah.
So I do have some trivia about M3GAN, but you know, for those listening at home, if you didn't already guess that we've spoiled the entire movie, well, soz. But also these trivia parts do give away important plot points. So the first one is, and you know, I did pick up on this, but maybe not as much. So several sequences make references and homages to Child's Play, the 1988 film. I mean, the entire movie is a homage to Child's Play anyway, but you know, several of the focus shots on Katie are inspired by frames of Andy in some scenes from the original Child's Play. Even the battle between Gemma and M3GAN is inspired by the final climax of Child's Play, where Karen Barclay confronts Chucky. I didn't actually pick up on that until reading the trivia. And at the same time, I was like, when in Child's Play 1988 did they have a giant fucking robot? And then I was like, oh, that's right. They're talking about the confrontation. But likewise, in that forest scene we spoke about before, M3GAN drops to all fours to chase Brandon down, that little shitty kid, likely because of how replicating bipedal movement at high speed is still a problem for, today's real-world robotics scientists. I mean, I love those memes where it's someone like pushing the robot over and they don't know how to walk properly.
What the hell, Carl?
Theatrical release body count is 6, but 7 if you include the dog. What was the dog's name again?
Chewie. Chewie. This film was originally shot as an R-rated movie until the producers noted while editing that it was close enough to PG-13. They reshot certain scenes to tone down the violence and believe that it became more effective than actually seeing the violence on screen. Jason Blum cited Drag Me to Hell as a good PG horror film that was effective. That was a shit horror film.
I actually didn't know Drag Me to Hell was PG-13 in America.
I just remember the posters like
MA.
Yeah.
I always thought that movie was MA.
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
The writer for the film said the original body count was much higher than 6 or 7, with the film being, well, much gorier. I don't know why that's a double-up sentence. But the writer... Shush, we're trying to record a podcast.
Mumsy.
But the writer hopes that the film eventually has a unrated cut release. So I don't know if that's been further promoted or anything, because we know that M3GAN's out on what do you call it?
VOD or whatever, video on demand.
Video on demand, Pirate Bay. But maybe there is a gorier cut, but I don't actually know if I will rewatch this movie purely for a gorier unrated cut. I have this unpopular opinion where there's some movies that I do think are good, but I'll never watch again. Likewise, there might be some horror movies that I think are absolutely amazing, never watch it again. Like
Final Destination 3.
Sorry?
Final Destination 3.
I'm trying to watch that movie.
I'm getting
there. Really want to do that top 10 countdown video, because I know that'll take off and get views. Every time I bring up Netflix and I go to the thumbnail, my body rejects it. And it's so frustrating because that scene isn't even terrible. It's not even like that horrifying. My body just has this stupid reaction to
just
it.
Get Mark to tape you in the chair and like
strap me in with like the eyes and everything.
Clockwork Orange.
We'll put like a bear trap on yours.
There was a bit of a marketing push where the actors dress up as M3GAN and showed up to the Los Angeles Rams, Chargers, NFL, Go Sports game on January 1st to promote the film, and they did a dance midfield during halftime. What is it with these horror movies and promoting during sports matches? I think it is such a strange choice, because I know that they'll get coverage in like news articles and press releases and stuff like that, but Smile somewhat started that trend where they were appearing on the softball games, or what's it called in America, baseball. Yeah. Rings tried to do it in 2017 by having Samara throw the first baseball during the game, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Can we find the footage?
I've only seen a picture where she's just got the baseball glove on.
When you said that, I thought of that footage of, I don't know if either two of you seen Mariah Carey at the baseball game. She like barely throws it. She throws it down and she's like...
Like, horror marketing has gone so strange in recent years that, what's next? Are they going to do the Olympics?
Are they going to get, like, Amanda for Saw X to be, like, Karen haircuts and, like, do outbursts like Subways and stuff? She's wearing, like, a Saw shirt. Like, yeah.
Don't you know who I am? I'm from Becca. I think it did its job serviceably. I think the actors were great. I think the color grading was good. Pacing wise, maybe just needed a bit more scares, some actual scares I should add to that. But I would go see the sequel. So
I had a good time with it. I thought it was just kind of like a fun comedy with some horror elements. Definitely hoping that they up the ante on those horror elements in the sequel. I imagine that's probably would be the idea. I can't imagine that they're gonna bring out another one and it's gonna be even less gory than that, because we didn't really see much of that anyway. But yeah, I'm keen to see what they do with the sequel. Like Byron said, you do see a lot of what goes on in the movie in the trailer. So yeah, if you are interested in seeing it and you're like, oh, I might check out the trailer first, just watch it. you might enjoy it like a bit more if you don't have all that kind of like spoiled for you.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. BP, what are your final thoughts on M3GAN?
Well, personally, I think it's more an average film. I don't think I'd watch it again really for a while. I've sort of mentioned everything about it. As you both said, I'm sort of, I guess, hopeful that 2.0 will be a lot scarier, a lot more gorier. Maybe reincarnation of M3GAN, maybe something else, not the same sort of thing. Yeah, so I'm hopeful that it might be something better, but this film itself, for me personally, wouldn't really consider it a horror movie. Very mild horror elements and a lot of comedy. So for someone young, yes, but for, I guess, us sort of that are watching horror movies on the go, it's not really a memorable one for me.
Sorry, when you said watching horror movies on the go, I thought of someone in a commercial being like, now you can watch horror movies on the go. Like, get Jackie O from Carl and Jackie O to be like, I watch horror movies on the go. She puts an iPad on top of the car and drives off.
Here we go!
While I did like this movie, I don't think I'll ever watch it again. Still will go see the sequel and whatnot, but, recognizing this isn't targeted towards me when every movie should be, because I'm a selfish person. So I am going to give M3GAN a 6 out of 10. Well, actually, no, let's say 6 TikToks out of 10, or TikTok dance challenges or whatever. I feel like it's got a lot of potential that can be improved upon in the sequel, but, the lack of gore, lack of scare factor, just downgrades it for me. So I'm going to give it 6 TikToks. What about you, BP?
I want to give it 5.5 TikToks. As I said earlier, I don't really consider this a horror film in any sense, more funny than anything. I'm hopeful the sequel will push on everything a lot better, more gorier, just a better time all around. So yeah, 5.5 TikToks out of 10.
Nice. Replay that. Coop, what's your verdict on M3GAN?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was just a fun horror comedy, good elements of satire. I would recommend it to anyone who likes sort of more campier horror-inspired movies. Looking forward to the sequel and seeing how they up the ante. I'm going to give it 7.5 TikToks out of 10.
Nice. BP, we'll see you in the parking lot afterwards because you gave it a higher score. No. Coop and BP, just want to say thank you both so much for joining me again today to discuss M3GAN.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listeners, keep out. Fuck, why did I say keep out? Keep out of our podcast. Yeah, shit.
Take 3.
Listeners, keep an eye out for our next episode where we discuss The Signal versus The Signal, 2 really strong but very different movies. If you liked our episode, give us a like, comment, share, tip, etc., etc. And if you hated our episode,
You should probably run.
I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'ma shine like glass.
Hey, squirrel friend. When one video ends, just open up another one. It's called binge viewing. Try it. I support you.